Welcome to CVM Live, the evening edition. I am Carolyn Brown. Thanks so much for staying with us. And a special welcome to you on the internet at cvmtv.com. We also remind you to download the CVM TV app from the Google Play Store. Here are our major stories. Leader of government business in the Senate says she meant no disrespect to an opposition senator. Vendors at Aki Village are operating from new location. We gauge reactions. And the Westmoreland police are probing 3 recent murders. I'll have the details after this short break. Thanks so much for staying with us. The leader of opposition business in the Senate, Senator Kamina Johnson-Smith, has sought to clarify a comment she made in the House yesterday, which incensed opposition senators. Senator Johnson-Smith has rebuffed reports in sections of the press and social media which she feels misrepresented her comments. CVM's Nika Lewis looks back at the exchanges in the Senate during the debate on the proposed new national identification system.
Opposition Senator Dr. Floyd Morris, the man who professes to walk by faith and not by sight, may not have seen the heated exchange after he moved a motion to have an extension to peruse amended documents which are critical to the passage of the NIDS bill.
There's a 23-page document that has been circulated. Further amendments to those amendments are being circulated. And this is on top of the various other amendments that were tabled before. And it is very difficult for me to follow it just like that on the floor of the Parliament. And I am putting that motion that, the debate be suspended to allow me to be able to do my own review.
In responding to the motion, Leader of Government Business Kamina Johnson-Smith said she heard Senator Morris's concerns but explained she sent the documents hours before the sitting, and then she went on to say,
when we started this morning, my intention was to go through and explain the amendments in that list. To give members the opportunity. With the leave of the President, it would have been possible. If I had been permitted to proceed to explain and take members through how they map against, and they're not complicated, and Senator Morris, having recently completed your PhD and having also written your autobiography, no, I hesitate to think that it would be too much to ask for us to walk through.
Senator Johnson-Smith became a target for the opposition senators who considered her out of line.
The member has raised a personal privilege which in his mind has been abused by the operation. Now it is immaterial whether or not he has just completed his PhD and whether or not it is difficult for him to reconcile the amendment. It is of no moment.
Continue, please.
My point, no, and my apologies if this is found to have been my...
1 minute.
I take objection to the reference because I can't understand what relevance or what moment does the issue of my PhD have to do with the list of amendments that are there.
A decision to vote on the motion saw the request being denied, but the former president had already left the chamber. On Saturday, Senator Kamina Johnson-Smith issued a release saying she meant no disrespect and that she apologized without being prompted. Nika Lewis, CVM Live.
The leader of government business, Senator Johnson-Smith, says she was shocked by some of the media reports. Meanwhile, after over 8 hours of counter-arguments, which continued into early this morning, the debate was suspended until early next week. The debate had reached committee stage, where it is examined clause by clause and where amendments can be proposed. Police Commissioner George Coelho has instructed the Inspectorate of the Constabulary to investigate the incident which led to the arrest and charge of a woman in Clarkstown, Trelawney recently. He has also directed members of the Jamaica Constabulary Force Chaplaincy Branch to make contact with the mother and the family and offer any assistance the office can provide. The mother had gone to the police to report that her son had been held down by other boys at the Clarkstown Primary School and a piece of stick inserted into his rectum. Subsequent reports emerged that a directive was issued from the nearby courthouse that the mother be arrested, but the Justice Ministry has denied this. There is less activity as promised from the area which was popularly known as Aki Village. There was a strong police presence today at the old location relative to illegal vending, even as vendors are now occupying the shops, which were the subject of controversy.
Good morning.
That's not just lip service from Al Green, who now operates his business from a new stall at the Aki Village, Portmore. Things are looking a lot different now along the roadway because of a shift in the buying and selling. There were debates and concerns. Some even called the shops boxes, but today there was some amount of great expectations. Green says he's been part of the Aki Village roadside phenomenon for 20 years.
We have been out from over here from yesterday, but the market kind of slow. We don't know if I true we just reach out here and people them don't really know say we're there here today, yesterday. And some people did their own the next side same way selling. So maybe today we get a better market, you know.
He was among the early birds preparing for the benefits from a better work environment.
Yeah, man, we're comfortable, bathroom, everything here. Just the light left if we come Canican and things. But the location look good to us. Okay. And the local customers, them will come in, so them like over here.
The stories about the jostling for life and goods have been many.
A lot of robbers come around and try to dictate and hold up the people. All the lady down on the corner around here, sitting down at the bottom of the night, when she got start, by the time she finish, she pack up and go home. There's a bag of money gone. Man come to the bush.
According to the police, not everyone made the move as quickly as possible. 3 notices were reportedly served, the last being on Friday, leading to this follow-up operation from 4 o'clock.
We would have ensured that some of the vendors would have now taken up residence in the designated area that is set aside by the Portmore Municipal Council for them to vend. I would now implore on the vendors, the other vendors, to remove from this thoroughfare.
The officer is also advising motorists not to support those who may insist on selling from the sidewalk.
A lot of times they continue to create obstruction, and we will be moving to take a zero-tolerance approach to the illegal vending as also the traffic violation.
Meanwhile, we engaged some early shoppers.
Some law and order just needed. The persons on the front naturally get the advantage. You're passing, so you need to stop. So you just need to level the playing field. This is a good development.
If they got ample time, they should have made preparations for this change. It's a good change, it's a good look, and I'm sure a lot more people would come, and I think the government wanted to help them.
The vendors have stocked up for make Yasa nice, and it seems their customers are not giving up on the niceness they are used to.
I'm making some soup this morning, some crab, shrimp and corn soup.
Member of Parliament for Central Westmoreland, Dwayne Vaz, is questioning the value property owners receive in return for their taxes. This comes as local government minister Desmond McKenzie has lauded the parish for its property tax compliance. Brian Walker has his comments, which were made at a recent town hall meeting.
According to local government minister Desmond McKenzie, Jamaicans owe more than $15 billion in property tax, and he commended Westmoreland for its steady compliance rate over the years.
Westmoreland has demonstrated over the last 3 years, if you didn't know, as one of those parishes that have maintained a certain level of compliance in property tax collections. And your economy is not as strong as some other parishes.
Member of Parliament for Central Westmoreland, Dwayne Vaz, questioned if residents are getting their money's worth.
This is a year in, year out type of concern, because the fact of the matter is, even though Westmoreland is now number 4 with regards to compliance and collection in the island, I don't think anybody in this room, including the minister, would actually think that Westmoreland gets their fair share of tax dollars that are spent in the parish. Because we all have our concerns and we all know the issues that we face on a daily basis.
Mackenzie admitted the parish needs attention. For example, he highlighted that some streets do not have signs, and he added that garbage collection should be ramped up.
We are not able to collect the garbage on a regular basis in terms of twice weekly as we would want to, because there are limitations in the amount of trucks that we have.
I'm Brian Walker for CVM Live.
Meanwhile, the Westmoreland police are investigating at least 3 murders in recent days. About 7:20 yesterday morning, 36-year-old chef Michael Brown, also called Lion, was shot and killed by a lone gunman inside a grocery shop at the intersection of Barclay and Dowling Street. From information received, Brown went to make a purchase when the gunman went inside the shop behind him and fired one shot, hitting him to the right side of his face. Also yesterday, in another incident, 27-year-old Asher Nemhard was killed in the Gully Bank area of Savlamar. Residents heard explosions and alerted the police shortly before 10 a.m. On their arrival, they saw the body of Mr. Nemhard along a roadway in the community. He was deemed to have been mentally challenged. And 46-year-old farmer Anthony Morris was killed in the Georges Plain community. About 9:20 p.m., residents heard loud explosions at a section of the community and they called the police. On their arrival, a man was seen lying motionless at a section of the roadway with what appeared to be gunshot wounds to the head. Meanwhile, the St. Andrew police are investigating the murder of a teenager this afternoon in the parish. The deceased has been identified as 19-year-old Kenroy Gordon of a Mount Ogle Lawrence Tavern St. Andrew address. Reports are shortly after 1, Gordon, a past student of Oberlin High School, was at a shop in the community when a gunman reportedly approached him and shot him multiple times in the upper body. The Chief Executive Officer of Carreras Limited is cautioning the government about how it goes about fighting the illicit cigarette trade. Nicole Wilson has more in this report.
Chief Executive Officer of Carreras Limited, Marcus Steele, has revealed that according to research carried out by his company, Kingston and St. Andrew represents the largest amount of illicit cigarette consumption at 54%. He also revealed that that amount is 29% for St. Mary, 17% for St. Thomas, and 15% for Clarendon. Speaking at a recent forum held to discuss illicit cigarettes in the local market, he said the increase in special consumption tax on cigarettes earlier this year has contributed to the spike in the illicit cigarette trade. He highlighted the potentially dangerous nature of these illicit products.
The illicit trade is free for all. There's no standard. There's no structure. And what you will find is that even the agenda of the Ministry of Health, as it relates to the health agenda and tobacco control, that in itself will be challenged.
He also took the opportunity to caution the government.
If the proposed measures are not carefully considered and crafted, they will only serve to add greater fuel to the sustenance and expansion of the illicit trade in cigarette, which poses a further threat to the sustainability of the revenues derived from tobacco.
He is calling for stronger border protection as the sale of illicit brands of cigarettes each day is indicative of a sustained supply chain. He also sought to highlight the loss of revenue for the government, as he said his company will be delivering just over $1 billion less in taxes to the government when compared to 2016. He is also pleading with retailers to aid in removing illicit cigarettes from the local market.
Please, retailers, we're calling on you that if you're approached to sell these products, obey the law, please. It is within your best interest to do so. You can call 119 or you can call 749-800 to report any such activity.
Nicoy Wilson, CVM Live.
This is CVM Live. We go to a break ahead of news from overseas.